Welcome to the Patreon NHL Ice Guys, Friday, November 29th, a Black Friday as it's called, the holiday after Thanksgiving. Hope you're getting your shopping done. Hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving south of the border. We're ready to break down a big Friday NHL card. We've got lots of games as we normally do the day after Thanksgiving. Today, this year, no different. Joined by Andrew McGinnis and Alex B. Smith. Big card. Let's get right into it. Toronto, Buffalo. Toronto minus 155, road favorite, 6.5. The total shaded to the over. The Toronto Maple Leafs still undefeated since the coaching change. Sheldon Keefe so far off to a great start. 3-0 this Leaf team in his 3 games, winning against Arizona, Colorado, and Detroit. 6-0 shutout victory against the Red Wings in their last game. Now we'll try to keep that undefeated streak alive here today against the Buffalo Sabres. There is a little bit more hesitation on my part for someone that's been riding the Leafs since the coaching change to do it today. Obviously, Michael Hutchinson being in net is that question mark. He's winless this season. However, the play in front of him was very shoddy. And I know there were some games you could say he could have played better, but the defensive play in front of him was really not good in a lot of those starts. He hasn't had a chance to play in front of this new energy Leaf team, this newly reinvigorated Leafs team. So I think it's at least going to set himself up in a better position to succeed. Now, he might still struggle, and there's going to be maybe a goal or two that he allows still that you say, hey, maybe he should have had that, but I think he's in a better position to play better and have better results now with the Leaf team in front of him compared to the Leaf team in the Mike Babcock era that was playing in front of him before. So we'll see if the Leafs can keep this win streak together. From everybody's, from what the players are saying, Keefe saying Hutchinson deserves a second chance. Players wanted to play better in front of him, and I would expect the Leafs to try to do that here today against a Buffalo team that's just not scoring goals right now a lot. The injuries at forward have depleted this lineup quite a bit. Now Rasmus Dahlin out, obviously, indefinitely for this Sabres team on the back end, and that's a loss not only defensively, but moving the puck up the ice, getting the rush started, getting the offense started, going to miss his presence on the ice. So with a little bit more reluctancy than maybe the last few games, I'm still going to ride Toronto here and take them on the puck line instead of just the money line. Money line's too expensive. I'm going to go Toronto puck line here, which you can get at a really good price. And again, just to win by 2 goals or more, Toronto about plus 160 here on the puck line. Very good value on the Leafs. I'll take them on the puck line. Cash an easy puck line with them against Detroit. Not going to be as easy maybe this time because of Hutchinson and net, but I do think they'll make a concerted effort to be a good team in front of their goalie today. I'll go with the Toronto puck line here, minus 1.5, plus 160. Alex, what's your thoughts? Leaf Sabres.
Yeah, like I said, I was looking forward to riding this Leafs team as well. But like I said, with Hutchinson, we're going to find out now if it was Hutchinson being poor play or if it's, like I said, the team in front of him. And so I'm going to pass on this one. Like I said, I was really looking forward to, like I said, playing the puck line on that too. But I just don't know. Maybe I'll try and look at it live. Even if the Leafs are down 1-0, like I said, if it's the team that was, bad in front of him, in those previous 5 starts, then we'll see them come back and make a game out of it. So that would probably be the way I would attack this. But as far as laying a goal and a half, because I'm just worried if this game might not even, if it goes into OT, then, like I said, either puck line or regulation won't mean anything. So it's just a wait and watch and see. But it'll be really interesting to see, like I said, that first 20 minutes, how he responds and how the team in front of him responds.
Yeah, this might be one of those games we're waiting live to see how the first few minutes, 10 minutes, first period even transpires. Might not be the worst thing to do. Andrew, what's your thoughts, Toronto and Buffalo?
Yeah, initial thoughts on going over this card last night is just that we're getting too good of value with the puck line for the Maple Leafs versus a Buffalo team right now that's only won 2 games in their last 13. They're barely scoring. They're struggling right now. Leafs have won 5 straight against the Buffalo Sabres. It just seems to me that the emphasis is completely on Michael Hutchinson. And I talked about it before. Obviously, he did not meet expectations. I had higher expectations for him when he was in the lineup for the Leafs. But the fact is, again, I mentioned this before on previous shows. He was playing against, I think, teams like Boston, Tampa Bay, I think even Colorado one time. He was playing those tougher teams. This is a chance to go out there. This schedule could not be easier that this Leafs team has gotten besides the Colorado game, since their coach got canned. It's worked out so perfectly. Talking about momentum, talk about building some team chemistry and building some flow. There's no better teams besides Buffalo, Detroit, Arizona even. I mean, Arizona's improving, but come on. It's still Arizona. I just think this is still a good spot here. I got them plus 155 last night on the puck line. Not only is this Leafs team kind of getting that cohesiveness back together, they're scoring 4.67 goals per game in their past 3 games since the coach has been fired. And Yeah, a 4.44 goals against average for Michael Hutchinson in a Leafs uniform. But it's like Ian said, that also, you got to take into a factor how the Leafs played in front of him, not just how he played himself personally. He got peppered with shots. And right now, Buffalo can't, throw a beach ball in the ocean, to quote our guy Ian. So, I'm going to go ahead with the puck line here and, hope to see Toronto roll here. It just, this is not even just a backing the Leafs, scoring wise. Their chemistry seems to be there, and I'm actually 100% taking that into account in my handicapping. It's kind of like how some people would say, would you actually take into account back in Calgary after Peters wasn't the coach? I consider that actually a handicap. I didn't give it out to my clients, but it's actually a thing because these guys are humans just like we are, and they definitely come together. And like our old friend Dana Lane used to say, whether you want to believe it or not, teams and players get up for games more often than not. And these guys are surely motivated right now. They had a Thanksgiving team meal yesterday, and they're ready to go in Buffalo here today. So a lot of games in the early evening, afternoon, and I'm hoping to start things off with a good plus money price.
Plus 160 is still the best price out there with this puck line -1.5. So Andrew and I have that as a consensus selection with that game, Leafs and Sabres. On we go. Detroit, Philadelphia. Philadelphia -275, -285, total 6. I'm going to be very brief here. I'm not involved in this game. Flyers, obviously, that's not a price range I like them in. There's not even much value, reg line or puck line, but we've documented the Detroit woes ad nauseum on this show. Injury riddled. Last game was an absolute disaster for them. Jimmy Howard gets hurt. Jonathan Bernier, who's not even feeling well enough to play with the flu, has to go in there, forced into action in that game against the Leafs, who actually played admirably. Considering the fact it was just he felt like basically when you got a flu, you could see he was feeling it. You feel like a bag of shit. And the fact this guy's got to stop pucks while he's battling the flu, it told you Detroit had no other options. They didn't call up anybody. It was a late illness that crept into Bernier, so they had no time to plan for this. Bernier is projected right now as the starting goalie, so you would think he's feeling a little bit better today. It hasn't been confirmed yet. It'll be hard in net for the Flyers. Detroit is just a mess right now. They're not playing well on the ice, struggling to score goals. Now Mantha's out. It's just a real leap of faith backing the Red Wings right now, and I'm not willing to. So it's a pass for me with this game. How about you, Alex? Red Wings, Flyers.
Yeah, I'm passing it too because I can't trust Philadelphia's offense to look at it at definitely this gigantic price, but also even the total. If I had 6.5, I'd be looking at the under. But at 6 here, they might end up doing exactly what happened to me and got burned with the Toronto game. They let up exactly 6 goals, couldn't get that extra one to go over that total. So it's just a stay away from Detroit right now at all costs, but definitely can't back Philadelphia on anything. Even the team total, you're laying 130 with a 3.5. So you would expect Philly to be able to take care of business, but you just can't trust them right now.
And that's a real tough scenario. I mean, when a game's 6-0 and you got the over in the game, the team that's up 6-0 is just trying to get the game over with. Let's get it over with. Let's just, just be a little concerned. Let's just skate, not necessarily put pucks to the net. Let's get the game over with. And then Detroit's so offensively challenged, they couldn't even contribute 1 goal to that. So that was really tough, the over last night, how that ended with the Leaf and Red Wing game. So Alex, I don't blame him one bit for passing. How about you, Andrew? Are you making a clean sweep of passing this game?
I would lean to the under and lean to Philadelphia on the puck line. I'm going to give out the under 6, though. I'm not going to bother taking a puck line like Alex said with Philadelphia. I think it would be the way to go just based off how Detroit's playing. They've dropped 7 straight, but you can't trust their offense, and you don't know what you're going to get on any given day from them. But a couple of key things here. I mean, Detroit 1-11 straight up last 12 road games. So not only are they playing bad, they're also playing horrible on the road. They've also struggled against the Flyers, 1-6 their last 7 against Philly. And as I said, 7 straight losses for them. Anthony Mantha, we keep on saying it's obviously a huge loss for them. Looking at the first period under as well. I got it at plus 117 last night. I feel like that would be good. So I'm making that an official play. Detroit's power play right now, last 10 games, is hitting at 12%. They can't find the back of the net for the life of them. And 6 of the last 8 games for the Red Wings, they haven't scored a goal in the first period. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the first period under and the full game under. And also Philly 15-1 straight up in the last 16 at home against Detroit.
All right, so a couple of unders here for Andrew in terms of recommendations. We got under 1.5 first period. That is currently at plus 115, and under 6 minus 110 for the game with the Red Wings and the Flyers. First period of full game under for Andrew. Next up, Colorado, Chicago. Chicago minus 120. Home favorites here in the Windy City. Early start game on the Madhouse in Madison. 6 the total. How about the Beast Slayers, the Chicago Blackhawks, taking down the Dallas Stars the other night, who were as hot as can be, hotter than a firecracker. But the Chicago Blackhawks took advantage of a Dallas spot that was not the greatest spot. We mentioned that the other night. It was back-to-back on the road for them, and it was a really solid, good team win for the Chicago Blackhawks. And they played very well defensively against a Dallas team that, as we noted, they've scored a few more goals lately up and down their lineup. So good win for Chicago. Now they get to test their mettle again against another good Western Conference team, Colorado, albeit the injuries keep mounting. Now it's Andre Burakovsky, the latest to go down for the Avalanche. So just when Bednar finds this great top line that's clicking, Burakovsky with McKinnon and Donskoy in light of the injuries to Landeskog and Rantanen, another one bites the dust here, and now he's got to make more alterations to that top line. It's JT Compher's turn now to move up to the top line with McKinnon and Donskoy. So how many more injuries can this Colorado team withstand? I know it's a tantalizing price on them, but the injuries keep mounting. They did bounce back, played really well against the Oilers. The floodgates opened in the third period, but they deserved to win that game. They badly outshot and outplayed the Oilers and got that win at home the other night, but not going to be easy going on the road now. That Chicago seems to give this team a battle every time they play them. So it's a pass for me, but Chicago will see if they can withstand a little bit of prosperity, because certainly they found some the other night with that win against the surging Dallas Stars. So I'm passing on this game, both side and total. Alex, Colorado and your Blackhawks, how do they stand today?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is the first time I looked up finally. 1979 was the last time the Hawks played at home on Black Friday. Like I said, they used to travel all the time in this spot. That's going to be huge. They're doing a whole lot of, if you follow them on Twitter, they've been doing all kind of different promotions and different things. They're expecting a true sellout, not the, with 22,000 tickets have been sold. This is going to be probably a bigger crowd than it was for opening night for this game. So that's going to be a huge boost. And if you look at the last 10 games for the Hawks, they haven't won all of them, but they've been playing solid. They've been in every single contest. We haven't been able to say that about this team in quite some time. Even last year during their win streak, they were able to just blow teams away, but they took their foot off the gas in some of those spots. They've been playing full 60-minute hockey for a couple of weeks now, and that's a great thing to see. Patrick Kane still has his point streak going, 13 games, and it's always good when he has his point streak going, not just scoring goals, but he's getting key assists, especially on the power play as well, which can be up and down at times. But everything seems to be rolling well offensively for the Hawks. The goaltending's been great. Corey Crawford turned in another outstanding performance, making some 5-star saves. So everything's going well for the Hawks right now. And like I said, you look at Colorado, another injury they have to deal with, more changing in that lineup after finding, like you said, some consistency for a little bit. That's just a bad spot. They've also lost 3 of their last 4 division road games, and they're just 3-3 on the road in their last 6 overall. So this is a great spot here for the Hawks. I'm playing them on the money line today.
All right, Chicago at minus 115, minus 120 in this game against Colorado. Andrew, what's your thoughts on Hawks hosting the Avs?
Look, guys, I'm not one of those people that usually talks about, public money, sharp money, all that type of stuff. But in this particular situation, a lot of people love the under in this one. We're seeing different trends, a lot of things pointing towards an under delight. I like the over in this one. I feel like we saw some great goaltending from Crawford, like Alex said. I mean, it was great to see. I kind of felt bad, though, for Leonard, because Leonard lost that previous one. We talked about it before. Crawford goes out, has a great performance. But I think it's great for your team, Alex, because it's an outstanding, goaltending battle. I mean, they're not really, they're not like going against each other by any means, but it's good to have that healthy competition. But at the same time, I just feel like both teams are still scoring. And Colorado right now, they're such an iffy team. This is going to be a very messy game, I feel like. I think Chicago comes out on top. I think Alex wins his wager as well. But I can just see some goals here early on and throughout the whole game. So I'm on the over in this one. I've locked it in, and I can see some goals. I think it should be a 6.5 total, honestly. But with the injuries, I guess that's why it's a 6.
Yeah, Colorado, Chicago, over 6 for Andrew in this one. Chicago's trended under lately, but again, they're facing an explosive team, can strike at any minute. We'll see how this one plays out. Avalanche and Blackhawks. Winnipeg, Anaheim. Anaheim minus 130, total 5.5. I talked myself out of Winnipeg here, even though I wanted to back them. Anaheim games have not gone well for me, as I've noted many times. I bet on This Ducks team, they lose. I bet against the Ducks, and I bet against them more than I bet on them, and they win. It seems like that's been the trend lately with this Ducks team for me. I would lean to the Jets. So I was impressed with the way they played against San Jose. Red Hot Shark team, they go into the tank and win 5-1 the other night, Winnipeg. Very good win for them. Hellebuck was solid in net. Anaheim, maybe starting to right the ship, so maybe I'm discrediting them a bit too much. But I just know if I bet Winnipeg, watch Anaheim probably win this game. But I do absolutely lean Jets. I mean, if I'm betting this game from a side perspective, Winnipeg or nothing. Didn't get involved in the total. Alex, how about you? Ducks taking on the Jets.
I got the first period over in this one, minus $1.15. 14-4 the first period over in the last 18 meetings. Of course, one of those was a ridiculous blowout where he had 6 goals in the first period last season. But other than that, we've seen healthy competition back and forth. But like I said, Winnipeg or nothing if I had to play a side here. But I really like this price here with that first period over.
All right, first period over at a very cheap price here, minus 115. Andrew, what's your thoughts? Winnipeg as they go to the pond.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think a lot of people are noting that it's a good spot for Anaheim based off, just traveling and different things like that. But I like Winnipeg here at the plus price. I think that Anaheim's been scoring, but there's still only 2 wins in their last 10 games. I mean, their compete level has been there, but they're still losing to teams that they shouldn't be losing to. They're showing signs of brilliance at one time, but then all of a sudden they'll allow 3 goals in one period. So I definitely wouldn't back an under in this game for sure, but I'm going to go ahead and grab the Winnipeg Jets at a plus 115 price. If it's still there like that.
All right, Winnipeg plus 115. LA, San Jose, next game, San Jose minus 150, total 6 across the board. I'm not involved here. I know it's a good San Jose bounce back situation in theory. One of their worst games in a while, losing 5-1 to the Winnipeg Jets, and now facing obviously a beatable LA Kings team. Although the Kings, again, you talk about teams that sort of got the better of me, and they got the better of me the other night with the Islanders. Obviously, the Islanders, how about them going 0-3 on the California swing? Kings end up beating them. But I'll tell you what, Kings, do I trust them to string winning streaks together, especially going on the road? They've actually been pretty good at home. On the road, it's been a different story for the Kings. I don't trust them here. I don't love the price on San Jose, so this is a clear pass for me. Alex, Kings Shark.
Yeah, this is a pass for me as well. Like I said, that Shark streak finally snapping now. So, you wonder, obviously, you want to get back on the winning horse, but you got an LA team that no matter how good or bad they are, this is a rivalry spot. They're going to probably come in fired up as well. And this is just a game to watch, but definitely not a game worth betting. If I see something live, I might take a shot at it, but as far as side and total, I've been passing both.
Yeah, Hockey Canada in the chat giving us Rangers Bruins updates. Yeah, 2-0 Rangers. Very a good game for them so far. So this is a true sign that maybe the Rangers are going to get on a roll finally if they can win a game like this against a team the caliber of the Bruins. Now it's still early. There's a long way to go, but certainly in good shape right now. The Rangers with a 2-0 lead over the Boston Bruins in the second period. The lone game taking place right now. Andrew, any thoughts on and any involvement for you with the Kings and the Shark?
I'm going to pass this one. I've been back and forth with it all day. At times I like the over, at times I like the under. I got to give one credit, though, to LA for locking down the Islanders. I think both Jimmy and I were heavy on the Islanders the other night, and LA played a great defensive game. So I don't know if they can repeat that or not, but I would probably lean to the under ultimately because LA just does not want to get themselves involved in high-scoring games. I don't think that's their goal by any means. They probably can't win in those type of games. So I would actually lean to the under in this one, but nothing official from me.
All right, nothing official, just an under lean for Andrew. On we go to Alex's current backyard. Ottawa taking on Minnesota. We've got Minnesota here about minus 170, 75 even, as home favorites. Total 5.5 shaded to the over. Certainly would lean under. I'm telling you right now, Ottawa has been one drabby, dull, boring, low-scoring game after another lately. I mean, DJ Smith is banging it through his team's head. We're going to win 2-1, 3-1. Start trying to win that way. We're seeing this team play ultra tight, just sticky defense right now from this Ottawa Senators team. That's the way they're trying to win right now. This is a dead nuts under team right now. Certainly would lean in that direction. And more than anything, you talk about a dog that I think's got a legit shot in this game. I think that's Ottawa here in this game against Minnesota. Minnesota off a road trip. I know they played pretty good at home. Kakkonen probably going to be back in net after getting the win in his first start against New Jersey the other night. I'm not so sure I trust this spot for Minnesota. They don't pull away from teams. They win a lot of close games. And hell, before the New Jersey win, they blew third period leads and losing efforts to the Rangers and Bruins in back-to-back games. And all this Ottawa team does, dig in defensively, hard work ethic, hard-trying team. They're in every game. Other than Carolina blowing them out a few weeks ago, where's the game Ottawa's been totally outclassed in? They're in every single game, it seems, lately, this Ottawa team. Even the loss to Boston the other night, battled tooth and nail with the Bruins. Even the Columbus loss earlier this week. Okay, they lost those games, but 1-0. I mean, right in the game. They beat Montreal last week. Although Montreal's struggling, and it continued last night. But Ottawa is in every single game right now, and I think that makes them live at this number. So plus 155 is in pocket for me with Ottawa. I think they've got more than a puncher's chance, and that's all I need getting this kind of price. Alex, what's your thoughts? Senators in the Wild.
Yeah, I was actually able to grab a plus 170 this morning. I'm really glad that money pretty much vanished before 10, 11 a.m. Central Time, but it's still some great value at 155 here. Like I said, this is a Minnesota team. Yeah, they play in this spot every single year, this kind of, Black Friday matinee, and they play a lot of day games. The time won't be that much of an issue, but it's not going to be the usual fired up crowd that we see from previous years. A lot of other things going on. Everybody's kind of hyped up about the Gophers. It's not the atmosphere in which the Wild sometimes need to have in games like this just won't be there. And that's going to lean even more to Ottawa coming in, tightening things, slowing things down. They can score early and take this team out of it. And they can just kind of just play their game. I think this is a great spot for Ottawa to control pace early in a road game. And that's something that I don't think we talk about it enough, where, being on the road, that's the biggest thing you want to do. You want to score early. You want to, force that home team to play your style of hockey early. And then if they have to make adjustments, so be it. But getting that momentum is crucial. And I think Ottawa can do that by slowing things down, where most teams like to speed things up to get their momentum running. So this should be a good spot for them. It's a great price. Like I said, Kakkonen in net, and we'll see how he responds in a back-to-back after winning his first career game. And he's going to be the guy. Him and Stalock going back and forth because Dubnyk away from the team with some personal things. So it's just a really rough spot coming back from home. To home, I should say, with the Wild to play on Ottawa today.
All right, like in Ottawa as well. And again, let's not forget the 3 road games for Ottawa. They could have beat Columbus. It was a back-and-forth game. They scored, and Ottawa didn't. That's been the one concern. That's going to be the one concern today for Ottawa. Can they score? Because the offense has been tricky, hard to come by at times. But they beat New Jersey, Montreal back-to-back on the road last week. And they were a big underdog against New Jersey as well, and they got the job done. So this is a price range I'm willing to take a shot. All this team does is work their tail off, and they're in every game, and it wouldn't shock me to see more of the same today. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this game, Ottawa, Minnesota?
Yeah, this one stuck off the board to me right away. Both the under and Ottawa stuck off the board to me. But look, I was looking at grabbing the money line at first, and then I decided to settle with the plus 1.5. I got it minus 140, and you guys know I've been taking these every now and then. And I think this is a really, really good spot for it. That's my only official play on this game as well. I do lean the under, but 6 of the last 7 Wild games have been decided within 1 goal. They are not blowing anybody out by any means. And Ottawa right now, they're competing, guys. They had a game against Boston and a game against Columbus that was a little bit rougher. But besides those, they've won 5 of their last 6. Besides those 2 games, they are actually competing in games right now. They are flying under the radar because they don't have that many superstars. They don't have that many flashy players. They just slowly but surely get the job done. Like Ian said, they play good side of defense, and that's how they get their wins. So I'm looking at this Sens team plus 1.5 to keep things close and to try and battle a good defensive effort. I think Minnesota is definitely overachieving right now. They've proven that they can have some defensive lapses, and hopefully Ottawa takes advantage of that. And let's not forget, this is a team that used to be a big over team, Ottawa, and they're certainly trying to move the other way.
Yeah, they definitely are. And so Ottawa, a little more conservative, a little more insurance for Andrew, but he likes Ottawa too. Puck line plus 1.5 goals, minus 140 in this one. On we go, Tampa Bay, Washington, one of the more marquee matchups of the day. Washington minus 115, minus 120, total 6.5, shaded to the over. And prior to the St. Louis game, I was willing to give the Lightning a little bit of credit for the turnaround. But they finally meet up against one of the better teams recently, and they didn't play well against St. Louis. Again, they're giving up too much defensively. It's the same problem with Tampa Bay, and it cost them the other day against St. Louis. Too many quality chances allowed. The penalty kill is still struggling a little bit. St. Louis connected on the power play in that game. That's not a recipe for success going into DC today with this Capitals offense. Good power play. They've been able to score at 5-on-5 all season. So we're waiting for Tampa Bay to really rectify the defensive side. They have rectified the offensive end of the ice. They are scoring a lot of goals lately, Tampa Bay. They get Steven Stamkos back from injury. He'll make his return, so that should bolster them even more. He'll slot in on the second line, interestingly enough. John Cooper's decided we've got a good chemistry with the top line without Stamkos out there with what he's got with the top line right now with Palat and Kucherov and company, and he's going to keep that group together and opt to go with Stamkos on the second line in Stamkos' return here for this game. But you know where I'm going with this. I mean, Tampa Bay has started to go over the total again in a lot of games recently. I mean, pulled St. Louis into an over the total the other night. That's not always easy. We know Washington flew over the total again with Florida the other night. That game, actually, it started slow, that game. But boy, it picked up lots of scoring in the second and third, and it got over the total. The Florida-Washington game the other night. I know you got to pay some juice here, minus 140, but to me, from a totals perspective, over is pretty much the only way I could possibly play this one, and that's where I'm going. Tampa Bay, Washington, over 6.5 for me, minus 140. Alex, what's your thoughts on Lightning and Caps?
Yeah, I would lean with the over. I have an interesting question to pose to you, Ian, because I know you've been on these Washington overs quite a bit. If you see a spot like this where it's 6.5, and I'm looking at Bet Online right now, they have both team totals at 3.5 at plus money. If you feel this is going to be a back and forth game, would you take a shot at betting both team totals with the plus money, or just going full 6.5 with the full game?
It's always in case. I don't mind that theory. In fact, I would go smaller on a team total of both teams in a situation like this. But what I like is that I want that 5-2 game, because 5-2 is becoming a really common final score.
Right.
A lot of my overs at 6.5 this year, Alex, they finished with a 5-2 final score. And obviously, if you're going to bet the two team totals, one of them is going to stay under if that one team only scores 2 goals. So that's my only concern. But in theory, I don't mind that theory. It's just for me, full game overs, just because I get a lot of 5-2s. It seems with these over 6.5s that I bet.
Okay, because that's something I know. Like I said, when I look at totals, and that's something I try to cap. Is it going to be a more of a one-sided affair, or if it's going to be, especially when you start talking about 6.5s and 7s, you're expecting a ton of goals? Could it be a back and forth kind of battle? So that's just something I just saw and thought of as literally as I'm looking at it. But other than that, like I said, Washington. I mean, that's the only way you can look at here would be the over in this spot, and it'll be interesting to see, like I said, Stamkos back in the lineup and in the second line. If they can bring some more offensive diversity. More consistent offense with this Lightning team is something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Tampa Bay's been scoring goals, but again, their defensive play tailed off yet again the other night against St. Louis, and that's why they lost to the Blues. Andrew, what's your thoughts? Tampa Bay, Washington.
Yeah, the way I saw it, this was just a really competitive game. Two great teams. I can't really back the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. I want to. They're playing good hockey, but just I didn't like the amount of goals they gave up and the way they gave them up against St. Louis. It just seems to me they're going back to their old style of hockey where they're so reliant on winning the high-scoring games. And in this day and age in the NHL, it's not going to work out for you that way. So, I want to back the plus price, but I think the best way to go about it, it's very cliche, is just taking the over. We'll see some games, and we'll go ahead and grab it. So, that's just a lean for me on this show. But that's the way I would look if I was to make a bet on this game. I've lately, Ian, I've been the kind of bettor where I've been off the key games. I'm kind of like a mid-major guy in the college games. I'm just I'm betting the shit games.
Yeah, betting the lower not the marquee games, not the big games on the card, but the weaker teams, so to speak. That's where you've been.
It's all the same money, though, right?
Exactly. It doesn't matter what game and what sport you bet. If you cash a ticket and you add to the bankroll, that's what it's all about. All right, next game, Arizona, Vegas. We've got Vegas minus 150, home favorites, total 5.5, shaded to the over. And this one, Vegas stole one, and I mean stole one against Nashville. Scored with a second left to tie that game. 3-3, and then they win in overtime. A much needed, desperately needed win for the Vegas Golden Knights in that game. Now they return home, and don't look now, but their T-Mobile Arena home record recently has been nothing to write home about for this Golden Knights team. They've struggled to play consistent winning hockey here at home after being dominant for the first 2+ seasons. They've been a franchise here in this building, not so much lately. I have 2 plays on this game. I've got Arizona, believe it or not, at the plus price here in this game. This is always a price range I'm interested in Arizona with, getting these plus prices, plus 130. It is going to be yet another Malcolm Subban sighting for the Golden Knights. Marc-Andre Fleury not back yet. Subban will be in net. And again, we've cashed over the total every recent Subban start. We're going to stick with that because it's working. So Arizona, Vegas over 5.5 minus 115 for me, as well as Arizona plus 130. Again, Vegas won the other night, but they won by the skin of their teeth. They won in miracle fashion, not necessarily a product of playing a big-time better hockey game. They just capitalized and tied it late in miracle fashion, and then won in overtime against what might have been maybe a deflated Nashville team after giving up the goal with a second to go. So it still wasn't a clean, crisp performance from Vegas. So I think Arizona's got a shot. And again, we're dealing with 5.5, a goalie that I've got some questions and concerns about in Subban. And even Arizona, they've given up a few more goals lately. Even to Anaheim the other night, they gave up goals to that Ducks team, that's not usually a good sign. Not a juggernaut offensively, Anaheim. So I think it gets over that total. Alex, what's your thoughts on Coyotes and Golden Knight?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that total. Like I said, Malcolm Subban in net, that automatically, lends credence for me to look at the over. I wanted to play the over in the first period as well, but like I said, Vegas has kind of struggled in that spot as of late after starting hot. They don't start off with the momentum as of late that they need, getting that early goal, that first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes goal to get things rolling. Like I said, we get the Arizona team. We know the style that they play. They like to slow things down unless they can force some turnovers early. That's the only way I see that first period over cashing. So staying away from that, but I'm going to be looking at the full game over with a 5.5. That's a cheap price to get right now at Vegas.
Yeah, I think Vegas-Nashville the other night was 1-0 after the first period. So it lends credence to the first period overs have definitely cooled down with Vegas, but it got going after that, and we got over that total the other night with the Nashville game against Vegas. Andrew, what's your thoughts? Arizona taking on Vegas?
Yeah, my thoughts are that this total should not be 5.5. I share the same feelings as you guys. I'm on the over 5.5 here. Arizona can score. They're a better team as far as that goes this year. They're also getting scored on, and we know what Vegas has looked like this year. When they've been put in a situation with backup goaltenders or going through little slumps, and I wouldn't be as confident in this, guys, if it was a 6 or 6.5, but I feel like we're seeing a 5.5 number here. This will be a lot more of a competitive game than people think. But as you guys talked about, I think this is an important game for Vegas as well. So I'd also recommend probably a team total on Vegas. I like them as well, but I'm sticking with the comfortable play on the over 5.5. So that's an official play for me.
All right, Arizona, Vegas, over 5.5, clean sweep. All three of us liking over 5.5 there in that one. Next up, Pittsburgh, Columbus. Pittsburgh minus 120. Road favorites, total 6 across the board. Wow. Wow is the word of the day if you're going to talk Vancouver, Pittsburgh the other night. Oh my gosh, that game. Ridiculous, insane, crazy. Your brain is fried after watching a hockey game like that, for crying out loud. That game was insane. It was like on acid, these two teams. 6-3 lead for the Vancouver Canucks. You think you're safe. No, you're not safe. I got to give the Penguins all the credit in the world. I've sort of ripped, tarred, and feathered this team at times and said they wouldn't make the playoffs in the East, and they're making me look bad saying that right now. Crosby out, no problem. Missed Letang for a period of time. They still won games, and they're still winning games. And Malkin's been a beast, taking Crosby's spot on the top line. I'm out of the bet against Pittsburgh Penguin business. Right now. They're finding ways to win on a nightly basis. Incredible resolve. Down 6-3, come back to win 7-6 against Vancouver. Now, Vancouver was sloppy as hell, not one of Thatcher Demko's better nights in net, but you got to tip the cap and give all the credit to Pittsburgh, battling back and finding a way in that game. I'm not going against this team. It would be Penguins or pass. I'm not involved, but I'm done going against Pittsburgh. It would be Penguins or nothing for me in this game. Alex, how about you? Penguins, Jack?
Yeah, I'm going with the Penguins here. I mean, this is as close to an automatic play as you can get with anything Pittsburgh related. 14-3 last 17 meetings against Columbus. This is a big rivalry for both teams. Like you said, the fact that they're finding a way to get the offense without key pieces in the lineup. We talk about the depth that Pittsburgh has. It's still there. and the fact that they're deep with star talent, like you said, that, okay, no Crosby, so Malkin steps up, and that's something we've always kind of talked about for years. When Kessel and all those other guys, even Letang, like I said, when Letang's out, Dumoulin was a guy that really kind of stepped in and kind of took over his role. And so that's the thing; they were able to plug and play not just pieces as a whole throughout the lineup, but specific pieces as well. So that's a big key thing. And this is, I think, just another spot where Pittsburgh keeps things rolling, and it's a cheap price. So I'll go take the Penguins.
All right, Pittsburgh minus 120 for Alex. Andrew, Penguins, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, same thing for me. I won't take too long. I'm on the Penguins money line. I just think it's a great price, first and foremost. It's a good number we're getting. It was a messy defensive game, obviously, but you got to look at that comeback and the ability for the Penguins to put up. These are two teams on opposite ends of the whole goal production thing. This is a team for the Penguins. They're like, hey, okay, we'll put up 8 goals and go ahead and beat you and lose and win a close one. Whereas Columbus is begging you to compete in a 2-1 hockey game. I mean, when it comes down to it, the end result is who scores more goals wins the game. And I think it's, anything more than 3 goals for Pittsburgh, Columbus can't compete. They just do not have the goal production on a night-to-night basis to get it done. Great point from Alex. I mean, they do not need to have 1 or 2 guys to score. Pittsburgh's proven that they got some guys that can step up, get the job done. That's why they scored 8 goals. And Columbus can't do that. They went all in last year. They took a gamble, and nobody else wanted to live in Columbus. So they all dipped out and left. And now it's just, a couple of guys that can score for them. And that production has just not been enough. So I will say I'm a lot more enthused about this based off the price we're getting. And, it's definitely a rivalry as well. So I'm going ahead. It's my last play on this card. I have, leans on the other games, but this is probably my biggest card of the year so far.
Pittsburgh minus 120 for Andrew. Yeah, I think you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plays that I've got recorded for Andrew so far, including Pittsburgh minus 120. Down to the final 2 games, Nashville, Carolina. Carolina minus 135, home favorites. Total 6.5, shaded to the over in this one. I'm not enamored with either of these teams' defensive play lately. Carolina's really been sloppy. Nashville was sloppy the other night and paid for it against Vegas. Mrazek in net's not been quite as good, although it's looking like it's going to be him. I thought it might be Reimer. Either way, I am on the over here, 6.5. Pekka Rinne's probably back in net. He needed a little bit of time away, try to get his game back. He's been struggling mightily, but I'm going to dare him to show me he's back on track. I don't buy into it just yet. He's going to have to go in there. He's been off for a while, so he may not even be sharp because of the layoff that he's had, because Saros has gotten the last few starts. Give him a mental breather. Try to get his head straight again, because he's really scuffled in net lately for the Predators. Pekka Rinne, I would expect him, that wasn't confirmed last I looked, but I would expect him to be back in net after they finally lost with Saros the other night, with Vegas getting the comeback win against Nashville. So I think we'll see some goals here. This is, I think, my last play on this slate. Nashville, Carolina, over 6.5, minus 110, the current price with the total in this game. Alex, Predators, Hurricanes, what do you like?
Yeah, if there's one game to just watch and wait to bet live for, it's definitely this one, because you want to see how Nashville comes out after losing that game the way they did. If they're going to come out flat or come out guns blazing. Like I said, if I had to lean with anything, pregame, it would be with the over. But like I said, it's just kind of a watch and wait, because that's a really tough way to, like I said, end up going into OT and losing that game. And like I said, to see how fresh Rinne is in net. So there's a lot of question marks here. So it's a pass for me.
It's a pass, and the over actually opened 6, then went to 6.5, and now it's 6.5 shaded to the over. So there's a lot of people apparently on this thing over the total. We'll see if we'll see if me and them are all right with this. Andrew, what do you like here, Nashville, Carolina?
Yeah, hopefully I'm right too. I already have a bet in on the over. Not my best bet of the night. Obviously, I've stayed very low units because I'm very high volume today. But you look at this one here, and I had Carolina paneled as an under team. I mean, look at them last year. They were a very physical team that was built to be a playoff team. I thought to try and be hard checking and get an early one and protect it. And now all of a sudden they're ready to kill. They're ready to go with you. Be fast paced the whole entire game. And both teams right now are being the kind of guys where they need to step up their power play. But when they have their guys that are hot, their top line going, they're hard to stop. And I feel like Nashville right now is still underachieving. And I don't know what the hell it's going to take and how many guys Nashville has to pick up to finally be a good team. but I'm starting to think it might be something to do with the goaltending. And this is why the over has been such a great thing for them, because finally they're getting goal production, but they're still getting scored on in bunches. So, at this number here, I liked it more at the 6, but I'll still grab it here at the Ice Guys, as my lean for the over 6.5. But I'm not giving this out as an official play.
Yeah, no official play, just a lean to the over. Nashville, Carolina. Final game on tap, St. Louis, Dallas, and we're turning back time to 2010 and prior to that in terms of where the total currently is with this game, St. Louis and Dallas. Dallas minus 150, home favorites. The total, 5. Yeah, that's right, 5. Shaded to the over, minus 135 in some spots. It's taken a lot of under money, and I get it. Dallas is the preconceived notion about Dallas is under team, low scoring hockey, and pretty much the same with St. Louis. I get it, although it sure is tantalizing to think 5. Dallas is still, I think 6 out of their last 8 or 5 out of their last 8 over the total, even though finally they stayed under the other night in the shutout loss against the Chicago Blackhawks. But still, it's a Dallas team that overall they've gotten offensive contributions up and down their lineup. They've been able to score a few more goals lately. St. Louis, it's been, some games they get shut down offensively. Some games they do score like they did against Tampa Bay. And then there's some games where defensively they look like that, that just shut down unit that they were last year. And then there's some games where they've actually struggled a little bit defensively. So it's gone back and forth with both of these teams. I think at 5, I'm going to throw on the over here in this. I remember I said a couple games ago, this is my last play. I'm going to throw it on the card at this current number that it's 5 minus 135 at 5 dimes. St. Louis, Dallas over 5 minus 135 for me in this one. Take advantage of it. You just don't see a 5 all that often, hardly ever these days in any regular season playoff hockey. You just don't see 5s very often in 2019. Maybe if Dallas is still stuck in the mud offensively like they were that first month of the season, I don't even touch the over, even though it's at 5. But they have uptick. There has been an uptick offensively with this group. So that's why I'm willing to take a chance here. Over 5 minus 135 here with the Blues against the Stars. Alex, what's your thoughts? St. Louis and Dallas, the nightcap.
Yeah, I passed this one as well, but the only thing I would look at would be the over. Like I said, there's just a 5, and it seemed really fishy to me that a 5 opened up with this spot. Exactly. Yeah, we saw with Dallas the last game, and of course the 3 games ago where they played Chicago. Those were 2 low-scoring games. Goaltenders were making a ton of saves, so you can't expect your goaltending, especially Khudobin, a guy who's had flashes of brilliance at times. He's not starting this game. You can't expect him to make 45, 50 saves every night. They're going to let some of those in. So, I think this is kind of an overreaction from the book to have this total be at 5. They've said the 3-2 game seems more than conceivable, especially when we've seen struggles from Bennington. We've seen struggles from the Blues defensively. So if I had to play this, it would be a 5, but I'm going to pass it.
All right, going to pass, but a slight lean to the over in this one. I lean Dallas as well, minus 150 bounce back spot at home. They've been really good on home ice lately. Bounce back spot after their first loss in a while against Chicago. But again, minus 150, I wasn't comfortable laying that number. Andrew, anything for you with St. Louis taking on Dallas?
You guys know how I am with the 5s. I mean, I think the worst case scenario, we got to push. I like the over in this one. And as far as the side goes, I like the way St. Louis played against Tampa Bay the other night, guys. I was impressed. I'd have a lean to the Blues, like a good plus price. I think. Let's see what you can get live right now. I think it's around like plus 140, the best number. Yeah, plus 135, plus 140. Yep. So I would lean towards that. We'll see where the afternoon games and the evening games take me, and then I probably put a little bit of a bet on those two games or two spots. But nothing for me. I haven't bet anything on that, and I don't really like to give anything out that I haven't bet personally. So
exactly,
I lean to the over.
Exactly. That's the point. Yeah, exactly. If we didn't bet it, we're not mentioning it. That's the way we do it here on the Ice Guys. Yeah, so St. Louis and over leans for Andrew there, but nothing official. All right, that'll wrap up our breakdown of the Friday card. Busy Black Friday card. 2-1, by the way. Bruins have made it interesting going into the third period against the New York Rangers. They've closed the gap to 1 goal, 2-1 New York as we head to the third period of that game at the Garden, the TD Garden in Boston. All right, Andrew McGinnis will recap his card first. He's on Toronto puck line, minus 1.5, plus 160. Detroit, Philadelphia, under 1.5, plus 115 first period, and full game under 6, minus 110. Colorado, Chicago, over 6, minus 110. Winnipeg, plus 115. 115. Ottawa puck line plus 1.5, minus 140. Arizona Vegas over 5.5, minus 115. And Pittsburgh minus 120. Any best bet, Andrew, for this Friday card?
Best bet Ottawa plus 1.5 goals. And I also did want to throw out an NBA pick here. OKC versus the New Orleans Pelicans under 229.5. Every Pelicans game has had a massive, massive total. This isn't a huge one, but it's still pretty high. Start of the year, they're going over, and all of a sudden now they're trending under, especially against teams that are kind of lower scoring and trying to get better defensively. So the pace has certainly changed for the Pelicans. I've realized it. And as long as they're close to 228, between 228, 229, 230 and above, I'll keep betting this under. So I recommend that as well.
All right. Bonus NBA guy, Andrew McGinnis, Pelicans under in the NBA and the association. Alex B. Smith, he's got Chicago minus 115, Winnipeg, Anaheim over 1.5, minus 115 first period, Ottawa plus 155, Arizona, Vegas over 5.5, minus 115, and Pittsburgh minus 120. Any best bet, Alex?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawks as my best bet at that minus $1.20, you said. And I'm also actually waiting for the line to refresh, but I'm going to be playing Boston live in this third period. I saw plus 205, but it went away for a second. So they're down 2-1 going into the third period. So if you're watching this, I'll be jumping on that live at plus 205. But Hawks, my best bet for tonight.
Yeah, the Rangers did a bad thing giving up a goal late in the second period, because you've given this team life, and that's exactly what Ottawa did the other night. And then Boston came back and won. Plus 225 is the current live price right now with the Boston Bruins. So a good price there. I might hop on that too. You know, the Bruins team's going to have momentum at home going into that third period. Plus 225. Not a bad way to look there on a live bet. My card for this Friday, Toronto puck line minus 1.5, plus 160. Ottawa plus 155. Tampa Bay, Washington over 6.5, minus 140. Arizona plus 130. Arizona, Vegas over 5.5, minus 115. Nashville, Carolina over 6.5, minus 110, and St. Louis, Dallas over 5, minus 135. And I'm going to go with Arizona, Vegas over 5.5 as my best bet for this Friday card. That'll wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Got another huge card, I believe, tomorrow. It's another big one on the Saturday slate. We'll be here at noon Eastern time tomorrow to break it down. Saturday edition of the Patreon NHL Ice Guys. For Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Good luck with all your wagers. We'll see you again right here tomorrow, noon Eastern, for our next edition of the Ice Guys. See you, everybody.